Well, hello everybody, it's BugEater64, and today we're going to be doing a little DCS World. Myself and CajunJosh. CajunJosh can be flying an Mi-8, and I'm going to be flying my HUEY. Now, this is actually going to be a two-part video. In part one, we'll take off from a FARP, and I pick up some troops, and I deliver them to capture an airfield. And so we're going to go ahead and do that mission. And then when we're done that, in part two, we're going to take off from that base that we've captured after being rearmed. And actually, because the first mission we're going to be flying, we're going to have UH-1 slick, no weapons whatsoever. And so we want to stay away from bad guys. And that's why CajunJosh and his Mi-8 is going to be my escort. Then in part two, we're going to rearm the HUEY, and we're going to go try and shoot up some stuff. And we'll see how all that goes. And once again, we get to see how the replay works in DCS World and how it doesn't really work in DCS World. In part one, it works perfectly. So let's take a look at that. Let's get in the helicopter and let's get started. Enjoy the ride. So here we are in DCS multiplayer. This is the Fraternity Georgia Retaliation server, and we're going to get ready to go here. And there is our HUEY. Now, as you see, there's no weapons on it this time. We're flying slick. So we're going to get her up and running. And as you see over by that blue smoke, that is where I'm gonna hover taxi over there and pick up some troops after we get this old girl running. So we're running through all the checks and turning on switches. Be getting ready to go here in just a minute. I'll get this engine started here. So we got everything turned on, fuel pumps are on. And we got the old girl starting to spool up. Should see rotor movement at 15%. And between 40-45% we can release the starter, and we should have a good engine start. Which it looks like we have. Now CajunJosh, my wingman and cover helicopter, he's in the Mi-8, and he's already in the air. And we run up the RPMs. Just come on over here and land, and when we land we'll pick up our troops. And there's CajunJosh and his Mi-8 coming over here to join us when we take off. Okay, so we picked up our ground troops. And we got our knee board set up. Cajun's there waiting on us. So let's get out of here. As we leave FARP Dublin. You see smoke way off in the distance there. And the base we're actually heading to capture is quite a ways to the right of that smoke. And there in the lower right, you can see Cajun coming from behind, and he's going to pass us on our right side and move in front of us. And it's time for a little ride of the Valkyrie. Okay, now we're approaching the base. All the targets here have been destroyed, so all I've got to do, there shouldn't be any threats to us. And I'm going to go in and land and deploy our troops, and they will capture the base. At which time, friendlies can start using it. CajunJosh with his Mi-8. Fly high cover just to make sure that we get in okay. To this point, he's done an excellent job of taking care of us and keeping us safe. To the point that he took on some bad guys that was beyond my view and took a few hits, so he's got a little damage. We're hoping it's not too bad and that it allows him to continue the mission. But when we land here, see if we can get his aircraft rearmed and refueled and repaired if necessary. So I'm going to be landing on the pad that's in front of us. We'll do a little combat landing here. Just like that. Just ease slider to a spot. Troops deployed. Aropa base is now in the hands of the Allies. And with that, we'll go ahead and spool things down and get ready to get our aircraft rearmed. And while I'm getting rearmed or refueled, we'll see about CajunJosh getting his Mi-8 taken care of. Yeah, didn't hear the crew chiefs call back a copy, so
alrighty, well, as you saw that went perfectly. The replay worked excellent, and the mission was a complete success. So now, after this, we're going to get ready to do part 2.
Request rearming.
Okay, that time I got acknowledgement, so I know it's going to be taken care of. CajunJosh ran into an issue here where he could not get a call back from the crew chief and was not able to rearm or repair or refuel. So don't know if it was an issue, if there was a problem, a glitch. A glitch with the Mi-8 or just what was going on, but he ran into a bit of issues before we were able to get him back in the air. So it took a little longer than we had planned. So we get our HUEY back up and flight ready. And you may hear a little difference in my voice tones. I ended up having to use two different headsets and microphones in the production of this flight video. So I appreciate your patience and considerations. And while I'm getting everything set up here and making sure I'm ready to go, CajunJosh over there is still fighting with his machine. Had some real issues trying to get it started up, and which he normally doesn't have those kind of problems. So don't know what happened. It's just one of those things. Sometimes the simulation wants to let you know who's boss. Now, I don't have any lights on the helicopter when I'm in a combat environment. I usually will turn them on when I'm returning to base and, you know, there's no possibility of threats. But when I'm in a combat environment, I don't have the lights on because I don't want to be that visible. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover around to the front of Cajun's Mi-8 so I can just wave at the pilot. Okay, everybody wave at CajunJosh over in his Mi-8 while he fights it to try to get it started. And where that fire is, there's bad guys over there. We are going to head near there once CajunJosh is able to get the Mi-8 up and running. Okay, so about 15 minutes later, CajunJosh is able to get things going. And you may even be able to hear the Mi-8 starting up here. We'll see. As I fire a couple flares just to get his attention. I can hear the turbines starting to spin up. I think he's got her going this time. Let's see if we can see the rotor start to move. There we go. All right. I'm not sure what the problem was, but CajunJosh worked through the problem, and now he's got his bird operational. Although he was never able to get it refueled, rearmed, or maintained. Alright, so with that, get his bird run up, we'll be able to get ready to head back to home base, but we're going to take a bit of an alternate route. We know where there's some bad guys, and we're going to see if we can engage a couple of them now that we're loaded for bear. Now the way I've got, in DCS, as in many simulators, you can have labels on the aircraft and so on. The way I've got my labels set up, they're just a dot, either blue or red. Blue being my friendlies and red being enemy. So it doesn't tell me what type of enemy it is, it just lets me know there's one there so I can tell the difference between the two. So we're going to let CajunJosh lift off first. And then we will follow suit very quickly. Cajun's up. And we're up. Okay, so now we are going to be approaching our first hostile. There's a few of them over here. And dispersed throughout the town to the right there is a number of bad guys, but they're all heavy armor. So I wasn't going to engage them. But just beyond these trees, you'll be able to see it. I'm already shooting at it. Wasn't sure what it was, but I was going to see if we could do some damage to it. And it turned out that it was a BTR, which in the past I could take out with my miniguns, but I wasn't able this time, and I actually got a couple holes put in me, but didn't really damage the helicopter and didn't hurt any of the crew. But like you saw right there, we took a couple hits and just kept on trucking. Because I wasn't going to be able to kill that BTR, which is sad. So, with that, another little ride of the Valkyrie. Okay, so at this point, Cajun in his Mi-8 had a fuel pump failure and had been losing fuel. So with that, he just, he had to head home. Otherwise, he was going to end up having to set down somewhere short of base, and I wouldn't be able to pick him up because DCS doesn't allow that. Sad, but true. So anyway, there was some infantry that he had located in this town and are just outside the town. So I was going to go ahead and eliminate the threat. And we did. So, threats eliminated. We're going to swing around here and take a look just to make sure they're all gone before we head back to base. We're back to our FARP Dublin. Yep, all threats eliminated, so. Okay, well, with no more threats, we're going to fly back to the FARP. And here we are. So with that, we were able to, since no more threats, approaching a friendly base, we turned all our lights on so they'd see us coming, and IFF designation is active, so we don't want our air defenses shooting at us. Okay, I made the first landing, Bubba, so Bubba's my co-pilot, so I'm going to let Bubba bring us in this time. So it's good practice for him. And we're going to land on that those pads right in front of us. CajunJosh is already back at base and landed. Take your time, Bubba. It's all right. Now, Bubba, watch what you're doing. Pay attention now. See those pads right there? That's where I want you to land us. Okay, now, Bubba. Alright. Take your time. Get it under control. Bubba. That's... Bubba. Okay, Bubba, you're going to have to explain this one to the commander. I'm not taking responsibility for the fact you broke the helicopter. When we did this the first time, I landed fine on the pad. What were you thinking? Now, how my gunner supposed to get out of this? You've parked us in the middle of a wall and broken the helicopter. What? No. I'm not taking responsibility for this, and you, sir, get to do all the paperwork. You're writing this report. See, you've broken our helicopter. I don't even know what to say to you anymore.
All right, everybody. As you can see, in the original flight, I flew directly back to this FARP, landed on the pad, and shut the helicopter down, and everything was perfect. But because, and I've been told this by more than one person, because in the second half of the two-part mission, we actually ended up shooting at things and took out some infantry. When we fired against that BTR, we didn't do any damage at all. And it put a couple holes in us, but overall, it wasn't a bad experience. But then as we came around and flew through the town, we were able to eliminate any hostiles that were there because it was all infantry. But they tried to shoot us some. So, and then we come back to the FARP, everything's looking good, and unfortunately, as you can see, this is where we ended up. So, the replay really doesn't work, but it sometimes is quite fun. So, hope you enjoyed the flight. Hope you enjoyed the missions. I had some great fun. CajunJosh was with me, and we had a lot of fun flying this. He had some problems trying to restart the helicopter,
because something just wasn't working right. But overall, we had a great time, great fun. I hope you did too. And until the next flight, whether it be combat or civilian, I'm so glad you came. I appreciate all your support. And until next time, this is Bug Eater 64. And to all my friends and fellow simmers, remember, safe flying.